for season 23 of RaceKraft V8 Vets. This is the season finale. Pour one out for the Oak Tree at Oak Tree Bend, because we're racing at VIR for 199 point a little bit of change kilometres to decide the season champion. Jordan Ross absolutely in the box seat as we look ready to rip our V8 veterans around VIR. To bring you live coverage here on SimSpeed TV, David Haynes with Daniel Yeaman, and we are so excited for this one. Another great season with this new supercar has been simply phenomenal. Great racing all throughout the year.
100% it has, Dave, and good to be back on the microphone. Unfortunately missing Brock Caddy tonight, but we'll hopefully make do with my presence instead. As you spoke there about some of the features here at VIR. It's a track that these cars, I think, have sort of come to appreciate in their forms over the years, and a good technical test to finish off the season here as well tonight.
Nearest big town is Danville, Virginia. The town of Alton, Virginia is basically non-existent, but it's a marketed place, and that's officially where this is. The river right there, and just to the south is the border with North Carolina. Throughout the 50s and 60s, it was a sports car venue. It lay dormant for a long time before it reopened in 2000 under new ownership. And there are some crazy videos of this place from the late 90s. A couple of the corners named after how things were left. The hog pen, there was a pen of hogs there when the place reopened as a racetrack. Key places that make this place so well known, so formidable. The rising S's through 7, 8, 9, so difficult to stay flat as you climb a little bit of an Eau Rouge Radion style sequence of corners into the Oak Tree. It is tightening as you go, and the roller coaster gets its name. Exactly how much elevation change there is around there. Other great overtaking opportunities. Turn 1 at the Horseshoe. I've seen drivers successfully get around the outside there. I've seen crossover over-unders. It's not a simple hairpin. You can see it sort of tightens and then opens up and then tightens a little bit later on, and you've got triple left-handers through turns 3 and 4. Great spectator viewing at left hook. Great accommodation around here as well, with the lodge that overlooks turn 5 and some hotel rooms over the top of the pit lane. Abu Dhabi, eat your heart out.
That's some fascinating insight there indeed, and whilst I can't lay claim to having been around this place, David, you can, so excellent to be able to share those insights from the circuit here at VIR.
I did a free practice session for an endurance race here and didn't end up driving in the race, but call it a track day, if you will. I've cut just a couple laps around here, visited a few times. Dear to my heart, and also got an iRacing graphical update not too long ago, so it all looks pretty sharp with new curbs, new trees, new sprites, trucks floating through the pavement in the paddock for whatever reason, and with a track length of 5.262 kilometres according to that. The number of laps we're going to complete will bring us just short of 200 Ks of racing tonight. This is that championship standings for the season finale. That's 2 drop weeks already counted. You can't drop the final race of the season, this one. So everyone in the top 3, or indeed the top 5, are going to need to be on their game. Jordan Ross is 63 points clear of Ken Latta, who's just ahead of Darren Lobb, and then Mike Teliancic. Great result last time out. And also benefiting from the way the drop weeks are calculated, has jumped into 4th at the expense of Wayne Walker. Dan Hall gaining a few spots, and I think we didn't see Damien Cairns last race. Him and Brad Doble dropped just a tiny bit in these top 10 standings that are completed by Dean Logsdale, John Latham, Scott Mackay, Mark Poynton, and Michael Whiting. Burn into the back of your brain that top 3 though. Jordan Ross, Ken Latta, Darren Lobb, 63 and 73 points behind the leader.
Yeah, sure will indeed, and actually commiserations to John Gowan, who's joining us via YouTube tonight, David, rather than in the race server. Apparently some issues mean he won't be out there on track, but he's gearing up for the next season. So Sorry to see you there, John, but great to have you with us on the broadcast, and hopefully you enjoy the racing action all the same here tonight. But as you said, real quickly here, David, focusing on the top 3 drivers, here's the exact breakdown of what it means for them to be able to win with some sort of conditions. For Jordan Ross, it's finish in 27th or better before bonus points kick in tonight. So realistically, that's not looking like too hard of an objective, given that his results have included in this season a grand total of 7 out of 9 possible wins so far.
Yeah, you never say never with what could happen, but Jordan Ross is absolutely in the best position. Ken Latta needing a lot of points, Darren Lobb needing a lot of points, Talyancic, Walker and Logsdale mathematical contenders, but Jordan Ross will be looking for a clean race, and that would be enough to give him the championship in his Ford Mustang. This is the race ahead of us. 38 laps is 199.88 kilometres. 75% of it is 29 laps to be a classified finisher. Maybe something that Jordan Ross or some of the others end up looking for. Starting fuel is 50 litres with a 70% cap. Should move those compulsory pit stop windows into some slightly narrower windows than some of the broad pit windows you get with the completely uncapped, massive 133 litre fuel tank that these cars have got. Fuel burn is just over 4 litres a lap, and the total fuel drop is going to be about 115 litres. 2 compulsory stops. We saw last time out at Interlagos that the CPS window actually didn't open at the end of lap 1, as we had a lap 1 safety car. So that's the asterisk for the CPS window.
That is an excellent sort of point to bring up there. Yes, for the most part, it's usually opened on lap 1 this season. We've been sort of safety car quiet most rounds, but yes, last time out Interlagos, first time we saw these Vets drivers tackle some rain, which definitely added to the situation there. So that will be one that we don't have to worry about tonight once again. Critical thing is that regardless of fuel burn, really, unless you're saving beyond the numbers I was able to calculate and find in preparation tonight, David, lap 17 is the critical lap. If you come in earlier than that, you are banking on safety cars, will be able to save a lot more fuel than I think is viable around this place.
Yeah, so just after the halfway point of the race, should be able to make a stop, get to the end. Lap 12 is how long we think they can go on the starting 50 litres of fuel. 3 possible strategies there. Early stops, even stints, or late stops. It's somewhere leaning towards a late first stop, but an early final stop could be the way to go. Once you reach that critical lap number, always tempting to just get the stop covered off and out of the way.
100%. There is also the question, though, of do you want to go early at this track, or would you rather try and hold position out front and go late? That will be questions drivers have to, of course, keep in mind here tonight. Well, qualifying just wrapped up. We'll get to the grid results in a second, but one final thing to look at on the other side of points and those doing well is, of course, that unfortunately some instances do result in penalty points and the like here in the V8 Veterans. And what that means is we have our updated license point table here, just highlighting some of the drivers, unfortunately, towards the top of the table, points-wise here tonight, David. And unfortunately, right at the cusp of season's end, we have our first race ban, which has been issued out to Chad Lewis, picking up 5 points last week at Interlagos.
And pit lane start penalties for McLean, Poynton and McKnight. It was a messy affair in the rain at Interlagos, incredibly staccato with the safety cars, many drivers picking up penalties, license points, etc. Leads us to this with race ban for Lewis, pit lane start penalties for McLean, Poynton and McKnight. Rich Tanek, Greg Sharp and Tim Nicol have already served theirs, and everyone else needs to be on their best behaviour, as they're still carrying a couple of license points there. I think we'll get to the grid via way of the Zoom wall, potentially. A couple of favourites, Luke Allman. The Dino is picking up. He joined at about 100, and he's, well, obviously, very anxious for this race. Has picked up to about 112. Dan Hall looks a pretty cool customer. Stacey Boyd looks very, very relaxed. there. Dean Logsdale, Jeff Thomas, Ken Latter. It's gotten cold wherever Ken is. Remember, he used to be guns out, and now he's got the jacket on. But I love a jacket with a zip so that you can take it off mid-race if you start sweating. Travis Hunt is incredibly enthused to know that Cam Waters has signed up for another 2 further years at Tickford. Greg Sharp is guns out.
That'll be Christian
And then
Smart.
Christian Smart, in the VIR. Oh, hello, John Callan. Mate, you're not racing. What you doing?
Bonus point for Jono as he...
No, but he's not going to complete 75% race distance without any pedals, mate.
That is
Give us
true.
a thumbs down. Show us those crocodile tears, brother. Oh, dear.
There they are. It's not a good sign when they're off the rig like that. Indeed. Unfortunately, a shame to have it there, but good to see you there, Jono, and good to see that you'll be ready to go for season 24 in a couple of weeks' time. Well, that'll leave us with the Zoom wall for now, David. One final thing before we head to the grid. Now, recapping the Chubby Buns Burgers driver of the day. And if it's any surprise, it was the man who ended up pulling off, a bit of a clean one last time out and coming up from 26th place. Michael Whiting. Almost a Long Beach situation kind of thing, although more incredibly, I went back and looked at the replay, David. He was in the lap 1 kerfuffle out of turn 3 down the Retta Aposta and recovered to fix the car and end up in first place.
Yeah, absolutely all sorts going on in that one. And Michael Whiting managing to keep his cool in the back half of the race, which was oh so critical. He is the driver of the day from last round. Thank you, Chubby Buns Burgers. And speaking about Jonathan Gallen being back for next season's absolutely confirmed. The entries are open for current drivers, waiting list drivers, etc. There'll be 4 splits again. So it will be another big season of RaceKraft V8 Vets next season. I think if you're not already on the waiting list, it might be too late. But for all of our drivers from this season, ready to sign up and go around again, it's open to them. Darren Lobb has taken pole position after 3 laps of qualifying at VIR. He's just ahead of Wayne Walker. That'll be the front row of the grid. Behind them, in the best seat championship-wise, he'll be starting 3rd on the grid, Jordan Ross, with Dean Logsdale in 4th. Scott Mackay, 5th, and Logan Barnett, 6th. Christopher Burridge qualified 7th, with Jeff Thomas up in 8th. Top 10 completed by Shadow Racing's John Latham and Nova Sim Sports' Stewie Hall. 2,000ths of a second between them. 8,000ths of a second between 11th and 12th, Luke Allman and Daniel Hall. Stacey Boyd in 13th, Wayne Sanderson in 14th. Chris Miller has qualified himself 15th, with David Nash in 16th. And Travis Hunt rocking a slightly different look by the looks of things, and also rocking the Camaro out of 17th. Where's your Mostic fanboy gone? As 18th is Troy Stone Street. Stephen Grumley's in 19th, and Stephen Kennedy is in 20th. It's the steviest grid that there is. Robert Crisdale in 21st, Bruce Tannock in 22nd. Teammates Greg Sharp and Dean Flavel, Sharpie and the Dino, 23rd and 24th. Christian Smart, we saw racing in VR, will be racing from 25th on the grid, with Stephen Banks next to him in 26th. There's Michael Whiting, the reigning driver of the day, starting out at 27th. Gary Buckland in 28th. 29th, Damien Cairns. And 30th, Darren Goosey. 33 drivers set qualifying times. So the remaining 3 are Stephen Varga, 31st. Brad Doble, 32nd. And Scott McCune, 33rd.
Oh.
Ken Latta, Jamie McKnight, Justin McLean, Mark Poynton. No qualifying times. Whoa, psychedelic, dude.
Okay.
What have you done, producer Daniel Yeaman?
That's apparently quite the display. That I was gonna hopefully race back, but apparently that. Well, let's see. We're racing about a minute on the clock here. Let's see if we can get there. But we're gonna apparently reload it row by row, hitting all the wrong buttons.
Row your grid.
Yeah,
gently
that's
up the stream.
Or down the field, I guess. In this case. It's top 20.
Even in league races, in the absence of qualifying times, the tail of the grid is set by iRating. So that will have Ken Latta ahead of Jamie McKnight, ahead of Justin McLean, ahead of Mark Boynton. 3 race control safety cars present as well.
There we go. That's what I was looking to get to. And indeed, ends with Mark Poynton there, 37 vets strong.
Now just 5 seconds away from getting underway for the season finale of RaceKraft V8 Vets. For Jordan Ross, a top 27 finish would seal this championship for him. He starts out of 3rd with 38 laps to run. The lights go out, the green flag drops, Darren Lobb from the pole position, a poor getaway just like he had at Winton. Wayne Walker from 2nd, decent launch. Jordan Ross starting cleanly enough from 3rd, will look for the inside of the horseshoe turn 1. As all of the RaceKraft V8 Vets field head towards a squeeze at the hairpin, a bit of contact, Grumley, Miller, a couple of cars going around there. No worries for Jordan Ross as he moves up in a 2nd.
All right, there we go, settling in now to the first couple of corners. And just looking to see here where things are going to end up on this opening lap.
Stone Street and Miller getting into each other a little bit through the left hook, and NASCAR just behind Travis Hunt's new paint. One of the Pacific Esports Racing cars just sneaks through. Miller ends up wide in the lower S's here. Full throttle underneath the access bridge, heading towards the climbing S's. Flat out in a Mazda MX-5. Maybe not flat out for these cars, but you can climb all sorts of curb through all 4 apexes, heading towards the tabletop next to the villas.
This is the part of the track where it's mostly single file. Stone Street's going to run it off the road here. He's not the only one. Stephen Banks there in the background, and Rob Christoph further on back as well. Just finding the limits of grip here in this opening moment of the race, but they're all pointing in the right direction as they rejoin the second.
On the back straight, Madison Avenue, full throttle, fastest part of the racetrack, speeds exceeding 280 k's an hour, heading over the crest for the braking zone, long braking zone for the roller coaster. Track drops away from you massively at the apex here. Looking at Stone Street early on the brakes, tiny bit of curb. The tyre bundle actually comes closer to the racetrack there. It's harder to hit Armco, but easier to hit tyres than it used to be. About to have 1 lap completed through the hog pen. Car washes away and then the road comes back up to meet you, and you've got so much grip. You can normally go through there faster than you think. Darren Lobb leads the way. Jordan Ross up into 2nd, putting some pressure on him. Wayne Walker dropped back into 3rd. Clean enough on lap 1. A little bit of door banging happening in other places. No risk of a safety car coming out on lap 1, so the compulsory pit stop window will open at the end of this lap. Craig Sharp's been off and mowing as he copped a hit to the door. Bit of wheel-to-wheel racing taking place in the first sector.
Yeah, we'll try and cue that one up on our first RaceKraft Simulations replay of the night in a second, and he's not the only one to have had trouble on that first lap, so we'll try and piece together what happened on and off the screen here. And it's just looking towards the front of the field. It looks like Jordan Ross has decided tonight's going to be a statement piece from him. Upper spot here in the opening lap and a half, and now closing in on Darren Lobb's bumper and gearbox. He'll be looking to take that pretty shortly. As it appears we've got a couple of drivers with connection issues. Christian Smart and Scott McCune both out of the server early on.
Yeah, Smart's tried to come back, but he's still got connection issues. Everyone else's quality looks good. Stacey Boyd's ping, it looks like what you'd expect. He's racing from the USA, but he's not dropping too many packets, so it's all working out for him at the moment. Oh, Damien Cairns sideways at the top of the roller coaster. Please keep your arms and legs inside the track at all times.
And straight on the buzzer to race control for that one there as well. As Luke Allman has had a moment possibly, or not. He's currently running there in 12th on the tower, 12th on the track. So that seems okay. But our first CPS taker, is it? Unless I missed a black flag being issued to Stephen Banks.
No, I think this is tactical from Banks. Darren Goosey, I'm not sure it's quite so tactical from. Is this serving a penalty?
It was.
Smart has a black flag.
Yes, so that's actually come from iRacing.
Yeah, unsafe pit entry potentially. I don't know when that shows up. Goosey was definitely an unsafe pit entry. You can't cross the green and yellow hatching at pit entry. This and Red Bull Ring, incredibly strict. Hockenheim Ring, go for your life, whatever you want.
Oh no, the limiter's come off well into the pit lane here, David, for Darren Goosey. So the entry is perfectly fine, but he's into the Pova.
It wasn't, but...
Well, okay. Fair point. The actual issues happened afterwards. Speaking of, let's actually quickly rewind a little bit more to pick up where the front bumpers come off, and this is what you're sort of referring to, aren't you?
He checks up for the slow car, gets hit from behind and lands a 360. That is quite bizarre. One of the Frog Leap juiced cars behind, potentially Poynton, wouldn't have been able to see what he could see. So Goosey slowed up in a place that you wouldn't expect for something that Poynton behind couldn't see. Stephen Kennedy also pits. Scott McCune's back on the racetrack. Darren Lobb's race lead still remains a very, very fine margin. Tiny bit of traffic will be giving him some concern. He and Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker, the top three, cut through without too much problems. And Lobb kicks it out sideways. Not great drive off that corner. Still got Jordan Ross breathing down the back of his neck, heading to the climbing S's. I got my eyes on the speed. How much speed can they carry up there? 258 k's an hour, dropping it a little bit. 210 by the top of the hill. So they are losing speed as they go up that hill, and then through the left-hand track drops away big time on the exit.
Yeah, important to note there, these cars are going to have to ease it off before they get to the very top of the S's segment, but obviously here down Madison Avenue, this, of course, is the place for the horsepower to show its worth. Maybe jump on the rooftop of Jordan Ross. Let's see here in the draft. What can the 143 do? Here, gear ratio might be an issue. No, rolls out just before we get there.
Four laps in, about to start lap 5, believing that the starting fuel will take us as deep as lap 12 if that's where they want to go. We're about to go past the pit entry here. All of that green and gold hashing, you cannot cross on your way to pit entry. If you're going to pit entry, you've got to make the decision early. If you make it late, you'll get an unsafe pit entry penalty here. John Ross maybe just had a little bit of a thought, or he wanted Darren Lobb to think that he was thinking. There are known knowns and unknown knowns. And he wants Darren Lobb to think that he thinks that Darren Lobb might think that he might try to bomb down the inside and take the race lead in this first stint.
So let's see here, a couple of moments where he's only a very slight shimmer of those, otherwise really sharp on the apexes here, getting into them either early or otherwise just strong. They're not afraid of the curbs here tonight against Jordan Ross, and that seems to be the right play of things. There's a couple of drivers on my timing screen drop down, but have settled. No, never mind. What is this? 6 cars all squished together.
And correct, what is this? Group led by Wayne Sanderson, David Nash, Stacey Boyd. There's Travis Hunt with Bruce Tannock behind. Biggest gainer through all of this. Well, you've got Bruce Tannock plus 5 spots, but you've got Kenneth Latta, 20th, plus 15 spots in this race so far. He's been picking them off, has Ken Latta, the driver to have broken Jordan Ross's winning streak in the first half of this season. So we know he's got speed, but with the pit lane start penalty, he started, we saw, back at 34th or so functionally. He's up to 20th. There he is. Black and silver Camaro.
Take a close look there at Cam Waters. Should I say Travis Hunt? One of the two. Here tonight, David, as its next update from Race Control is drive-through penalty to Mark Poynton for the incident that we saw there on pit entry involving Darren Goosey.
Yeah, unfortunate for the reasons that I think I highlighted at the point. Again, you hit someone. Big sideways moment trying to come out of turn 1 for Bruce Tannock. He drops further behind Travis Hunt. This could be Ken Latta's opportunity to pick some spots. Latta's actually, gained another one. So Latta's picked off Wayne Sanderson. Now he's in behind Troy Stone Street. A couple of difficult traction zones by the looks of things around here. Curved traction zone for turn 1, curved traction zone into the lower S's. And it's sort of separating the skilled from the merely very good. Pour one out for the oak tree. I never actually got to see it in place. Apparently it's they put a sapling and planted it on the outside of the track, so maybe one day the oak tree can make a glorious return to the inside of the corner there at Virginia International Raceway. What's Latta doing to try to work his way through the field? Closed up gigantically in the braking zone for the roller coaster here, but didn't find an overtaking opportunity, so it might have to wait towards turn 1.
Stay with Ken here for a little bit longer, perhaps, just to get a read on it now. As closing in on Troy Stone Street, his voice there, sorry. Bumper, and inside Latta will look indeed. Gets it pulled up, is given the space, but not much more. But inside will win out on this occasion for Latta once more.
A lot more traction on the tight line coming out of that corner than you might think because of the way the pavement is, because of where the bumps are. Ken Latta, very quick driver, and just does that supremely. So he gains another spot to be, by my timing screen, plus 17. What does the broadcast graphics say for him? Plus 16. Okay, we'll take that. He passed the safety car in pit lane on his way out of the pit lane start.
Right, yes, I've got it set up to ignore.
It's classed, yeah. Sounds suspiciously like a little bit of ATVO talk there, Daniel Yeaman.
But it's not ATVO problem talk. But we're winning me out piecemeal.
I've just
work in progress.
Seen Jordan Ross take a look for the race lead alongside Darren Lobb. Lobb's locked up. Ross has his nose in front, heading towards the hog pen. The championship leader is looking to take the race lead. They're absolutely door to door. There's a little bit of contact there. Lobb's out wide. Jordan Ross leads the race. Wayne Walker is going to try to come through for second place. We've seen the inside for the turn 1 horseshoe hairpin can be the place to be. And Dean Logsdale, Logan Barnett and Scott Mackay are not too far behind either here. This has gone supremely for Jordan Ross. A small mistake from Lobb could cost him 2 positions. Walker down the inside, keeping that tight line, trying to get great traction because the track will soon turn left. He's 3/4 overlapped ahead, and he's just going to try to swoop around the outside. Easier said than done. Can he switch back into the braking zone into the left-hander? He can't. Lobb will hold on a second. Jordan Ross will lead by more than 1 second.
Yeah, like all of a sudden that battle there between Lobb and Walker for the second place position, immediately he's released Jordan Ross and made the 5-car queue, now lining up in behind Lobb at the head of it. So just to give you sort of an impression about how things have gone there. I'm also watching the cars here on the S's, David. They're the front end of these cars with the limited aero on them, threatening to take off, and that's going to be an experience that not many drivers get to have, and also be one I'm sure that's a little unsettling at first.
Moving up and down side to side like a roller coaster, potentially. Jamie McKnight, another driver to take a pit stop. Lap 8, lap 12 we think is the end of this first stint fuel. Not many drivers from inside of the top 20 looking to take that risk. They're looking to stay on track in clean air like Jordan Ross. Darren Lobb making positions like Ken Latta. He's gotten ahead of his little train, so he's gotten by Troy Stonestreet that we saw, gotten by Chris Miller that we haven't seen. And he's heading for the biggest mover of the race. But you can't give driver of the day for how many positions someone gained because of a penalty that they had. This will be Michael Whiting and Robert Crisdale. Whiting moves ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to go clarify quickly that indeed actually, no, interesting. I'm not seeing any reason why Canada had to sort of pit lane start tonight on license points. So maybe there was something they didn't quite catch in preparation. So apologies to our viewers there. Don't quite have an exact answer on the for. So we can maybe dig it up here in the background whilst we continue to watch this open list into the race.
After being passed, Robert Crisdale went for pit lane. So Dean Flavel, Brad Doble, Gary Buckland move ahead of him. 22 seconds is about the length that a lot of these first stops have been. Like Crisdale, like Kennedy. This is the fringes of the top 10. Jeff Thomas in 9th. Still rocking the JWM SimSport livery and Ford Mustang that we're used to. Travis Hunt shaking it up, just a couple of positions behind. In between them, Stewie Hall and Dan Hall. I guess I'll outsource it for the season finale and you can make your own jokes and puns.
Oh heavens, me making jokes? That sounds like a...
No, I was saying that to the viewers.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense actually. Yeah, no. Yeah, best keep me away from the jokes. I'm not necessarily a reliable source.
They can come to their own conclusions about Hall effect sensors or whatever. Scott Mackay's going to pit from inside the top 5 there. He is on the lane, so after just 9 laps, an early taker on the pit lane is Scott Mackay from Evolution Racing Team running that livery at the moment. There's a look at Dan Hall. Not short of a bit of Logitech G kit behind him and on his head either.
No, but he's not really showing off the kit in front tonight. We sometimes get the over-the-shoulder shot with Dan. The light sync speakers and otherwise, I believe, light bars and similar equipment. But tonight it's all about him and his face and his headset tonight.
Logitech, if you're listening, I could do with a new headset. My Audio Technica's broke. Right, there we go. I've thrown that out into the void. That's all the begging I need to do. Stewie Hall, Dan Hall behind Jeff Thomas. And all gained a spot because you've got just a couple of pit takers beginning to happen. Here's Logan Barnett. He's up into 5th. Keep an eye on the speed. This is the fastest part of the track. Getting past and up towards 7,500 RPM in 6th gear. Gets them about 280, 281, 282 Ks an hour. Certainly surpasses the fastest I've been down the back straight there, which was about 110 miles an hour. Oh, there's a pit taker from in front of us, Dean Logsdale, and Jordan Ross from the race lead as well. Keeping an eye on penalties. It was a clean pit entry from all of those drivers. Pit lane speed here at VIR, 60 kilometers an hour. Heaps of other drivers stopping at the end of 10 laps as well. Guess Jordan Ross stops and you react to that maybe. For a lot of the drivers in the middle of the field, Darren Lobb goes back to the race lead. Wayne Walker in second. Thought maybe Ken Latta would stay out and use a bit of clean air, but he's also come in with that group. He's sharing a pit stall with Travis Hunt by the looks of things.
That'll be Jeff.
It will be Jeff Thomas, sorry.
Make the stop here. It's another 26 seconds.
Oh, he's going to try to race Troy Stone Street out of the lane. Who's off the limiter first? You bet it's Ken Latta. He'll just stay ahead after his 26-second stop. He's taken plenty of fuel, a bit longer. He's ended up back behind a few drivers that we had seen him pass. Still just staying ahead of Troy Stone Street, though.
Pits the laps up on the tower as well tonight. As you can see, Stephen Banks
was a drive-through.
It was a drive-through penalty, so we need to exclude him, yes, from the calculations in this one. And the first driver to have stopped is, well, lo and behold, your race leader prior to the stop, Jordan Ross, as Jeff Thomas has completed the longest stop tonight so far, unfortunately.
Finally, some banks being regulated and held to account. Darren Lobb from the race lead, Wayne Walker, Logan Barnett, they all head for pit lane. End of lap 11, we saw that with no fuel saving, this is when you were going to have to pit. But the calculated range was sort of 11 and a half laps, so a bit of saving. We thought some might go to 12. But it's not really looking like it for anyone except Chris Miller. Jordan Ross is going to jump back ahead of a bunch of these drivers, no doubt, after his 25-second stop. Miller stays out for the race lead, and so does his fishy teammate, Michael Whiting.
Yeah, no big shockers there. The fishy boys are known to pull this move every now and again to stretch the opening stint just a bit. And it wasn't too much of a save in my mind to get this done, as there goes J. Ross past the pit lane, and who's the first one off the lane? Wayne Walker, but he's going to be swallowed up by Dean Logsdale into turn one, but only just. And how's that there? 3, if not 4 wide.
Off the road. Yeah, contacts in the squeeze towards turn 1. Scott Mackay's off, Logan Barnett's off. Catch how it all unravelled. Barnett's shaking himself off, getting back up to speed. Might have been with some of the cars blending out of the pit exit. Barnett was just making the pit exit. So this is his outlap. Let's have a look. So Mackay around the outside of Lobb. Barnett. Oh, it's all Barnett, isn't it? He's locked up heading into turn 1 and sent Scott Mackay into the grass.
Yeah, that's a little rough, unfortunately, and self-inflicted by Logan Barnett. So, going to have to recover and then hope that Mr. Control's feeling a little generous tonight. I suspect that'll be with a negative view off the back of that.
So with Chris Miller and Michael Whiting coming in, Jordan Ross is about to get the race lead back. One of the fishy teammates is about to get their lap back. Christian Smart, with the technical issues that he had, gets 1 lap back here. Did we also lose him from the Zoom at the same time?
Let's have a look. Well, he's back in Zoom now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to review check on that as it happened earlier on, so it's a possibility as all I've got for you.
Whether he lost internet or his computer crashed, both of them would have taken him off the Zoom as well, probably. Travis Hunt, though, technical problems. His second time on the lane, and that car is smoking. He has damaged it, probably with a downshift. He saved his fast repair from his previous stop. He's going to fix it up. He's going to drop back his second trip onto the lane in just a few laps. There's no over-rev protection for these cars. If you're in 4th gear and you ask for 3rd gear, it's going to give you it, no matter how many RPM that is. Ooh, that shift to 3rd too early, locked up the rears and launched part of the motor.
If there's a thankful to this situation, David, it's happened at about the right spot, if it ever could be, on the track. Only a couple of corners to negotiate, a bit of time lost. The only big problem really is it's too soon to make it here on fuel without copious amounts of saving and safety cars to assist you in that endeavour.
Jordan Ross has got a bit of clean air at the front of this race, so with that pit stop timing, he's come out 3 seconds ahead of Dean Logsdale and then set the fastest lap of the race. So Jordan Ross is motoring right now. It's a little bit sad for Jeff Thomas and Travis Hunt together. Thomas with the penalty on pit lane, Travis Hunt with a 2nd trip to pit lane.
Up together side by side tonight, David, but alas, a chance to see them both at action here with side by side for a moment. We'll even be, I think, and get back to them hopefully when fortunes might improve.
And this happened to them at Winton. They were both running together like a lap down. One of them would crash, the other would crash on the same lap. We need to work out how those twins were separated at the hospital. Here's Dean Logsdale in 2nd, Wayne Walker just behind him in 3rd. Darren Lobb, pole sitter, took a lot of fuel at his first stop, has just set a new fastest lap of the race, so he's looking to close in on Logsdale and Walker. Not closing in enough on Jordan Ross, who took 3 seconds less fuel but is 5.5 seconds ahead. So on net terms, the strategy is still looking very good for Jordan Ross, unless Lobb can really pull a bit of pace out. You're a nerd for this stuff. What wheelbase is Logsdale rocking?
Is 100% a SimMagic Alpha, whether it's a mini or the regular though. Little bit of a hard...
Looks quite compact.
Yeah, let me just, because we can do this, we can flip the other way around. Yeah, I'd say fair shout, that's the Alpha Mini there. And also well and truly plastered with SimMagic sponsorship and Formula Drift there on the side as well.
You can see Wayne Walker in his mirrors, top of his screen there. And you can see it looking backwards from the rear wing camera. Jordan Ross on that lap pulls a little bit more time out of them. Darren Lobb closes in on the podium fight as well. Super short stop from Dan Hall has him up in 5th. Surely it won't be too long before he has to stop again. But hey, is clean air the way to go? This could be considered a track where overtaking is relatively difficult. Just getting down the inside of someone into Oak Tree or into the roller coaster, it's very low percentage. It's really only turn 1 that you go, oh yep, that's the overtaking spot. So Hall's got himself a bit of clean air and he's zipping along well enough. 149.3 last lap. This could be his 149.4 last lap. This could be his strategy.
Yeah, quite possible. I mean,
oh, he nearly formula drifted it through the Oak Tree. So easy to do, taking your downshifts as you're braking and turning through the first part of a corner that then tightens on you as you go through.
Just thinking this, I think it was Stewie Hall he was around. Otherwise, if not, Stewie Hall was about where he sits in terms of fuel deficit to practically everyone else, barring a handful of cars. And for now, I'm seeing a little bit more green than red. Although that, actually, there you go, on that second sector, he's still up despite the slide there into Oak Tree. So may still be able to benefit.
Isn't it the other way around? Isn't Hall, Stewie up on Daniel because Daniel lost time?
You're right. Shoot me the kneecaps for that one there. Indeed. It's all in relation to Dan's times, of course.
Yeah, so the mistake from Hall meant that Hall closed time. You follow. Not far away from that critical lap number by the calculations. We've already passed halfway of this 200-kilometre affair. That was about a lap ago. Jordan Ross completed 14 of 38 laps as race leader.
Well, in that case, we're almost at halfway.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, I've done that wrong. Yeah, well, 19 is half of 38. What do they say about a commentator's maths?
Don't trust it?
Yeah, don't do maths live. Never works well. John Latham ahead of Scott Mackay, ahead of Logan Barnett. Up over the oak tree, Logan Barnett looks really strong through there. Didn't look quite as strong on the exit. There's a fire truck and an ambulance in the pit lane for that VIR South paddock there. They turn their lights on if you throw a safety car here at iRacing's VIR. Similar to the fire truck at Sebring.
There, top of the screen, whilst we're looking at these battles in the top half of the field for now. Trouble further on back for Stacey Boyd, so we'll try and catch if that was about similar for Stacey, unfortunately, as Travis Hunt's. Yes, it was, unfortunately, indeed. There goes Pop at the end of the straight.
So fifth, fourth. It must be that third gear downshift.
Sounds a lot more, yeah, a lot less on the limit, but unfortunately, just slightly the wrong way apparently.
It's still exciting to see how much progress Ken Latter is making. He's up into 13th. He was 20th when we checked in with him previously and then made the move into 19th. After his stop, he came out ahead of Troy Stone Street. It's just behind David Nash in 12th. Last lap, he only took a 10th out of David Nash. But he took significantly more time out of 9th place Christopher Burridge, 10th place Stewie Hall, and 11th place Luke Allman. So David Nash is getting the message and the hurry up. And the two of them are closing in on the top 10.
Getting close for second here into turn one.
This is very good for Darren Lobb. He has a 4-second longer pit stop than Dean Logsdale, and he's ranging up on the back of this battle. So when you compare pit stop times, you expect it could get to the second pit stop, and this group of three invert, as Lobb should have a quick final stop. Wayne Walker somewhere in the middle, and Dean Logsdale's potentially headed for a significantly longer second compulsory pit stop, just based on how much fuel he took the first time round. So what you've got is Dean Logsdale in a bigger house, but with more mortgage still to pay.
Yeah, and got to keep on top of that one there, otherwise the bank might call that one in on him. And certainly wouldn't want a foreclosure on that one.
Well, they've all got to make their repayments sometime, and it will be a bigger one for Logsdale when they get to the second stop than Wayne Walker versus Darren Lobb, based on those numbers as they run closely together, second, third and fourth. They caught about a second on Jordan Ross, who must have had a bobble somewhere, perhaps catching some traffic, don't know. Last lap was a little off pace for Jordan Ross.
Sector 1, big gains apparently. And then followed up with a bit more gain in the middle sector of the lap to offset some time lost at the end.
So Ross remains in a good position, but it's not perfectly easy sailing. Second, third, fourth up the hill. Dan Hall just behind them. John Latham just behind that. Ken Latter's gotten past David Nash and is now closing in on a three-way fight between Stewie Hall, Scott Mackay and Luke Allman. So I was saying, don't give driver of the day to someone who's been penalised. But man, Ken Latter is proving that he's got so much speed here and he's cutting moves. Stewie Hall, Scott Mackay, Luke Allman, and then here's Ken Latter. He's gone ahead of Nash. Using all of the road on the way into the oak tree. Big smooth braking arc.
We've had some moments on 18 and 19 for Jeff Thomas and Scott Mackay. As we're coming into the critical window, but drivers staying out for now. Let's rewind here a moment, see what's happened. Unfortunately, this is looking a little unforced from Jeff Thomas, and yeah, that's the grass for you there at turn 1. Nice case. What can we see here? Oh, also turn 1 a lap later, was it? Ah, yes. Locked brakes do mean car does not turn.
Wheel don't turn, car don't slow. Grass long and slippery. That's dropped Scott Mackay back into 10th. Just a second and a half ahead of Ken Latter right now. Approaching the window for second stops, but I don't see too many takers. Oh, off the road for Michael Whiting.
Actually, he was joining the Lawnmowers Club there. Although notably it was on the inside of the exit of turn 1. That's not an overly normal position to be.
Damien Cairns ahead of Mark Poynton. Mark Poynton served a drive-through penalty for earlier contact. So he's trying to race his way back up through the field. That includes catching Damien Cairns and trying to move ahead of him whenever he can.
Good run there off the oak tree for Cairns. I would think will protect him up into the roller coaster this time, but he will still... No, he's rolling and coasting. So we get to the roller coaster and he will slip back at the 28th place. A tactical move which apparently might have just paid off in a sense, as Poynton will slide off the road as well and resume 29th place. Oh, sorry, 28th.
Poynton outbraked himself a little bit there. A bit of a sugar rush, too many chockies at once. As Damien Cairns tried to give him the position, he made a bit of a dog's breakfast of it. Still keeping my eye on the group forming up around 9th. Stewie Hall's ahead of Scott Mackay, Luke Allman, Ken Latter and David Nash. So Mackay potentially getting his mojo back after the lockup. And Latter thoroughly in his mojo zone the first half of this race so far.
Just a quick question about what's Ken Latter looking like strategy-wise to the cars around him. And the answer is pretty much on point. Maybe a second shy on fuel there at the first stop, just to try and perhaps squeeze out ahead of Troy Stone Street as he did. Don't think that'll hurt him in the second stop much, if at all. He's tucked up behind the ball here at the moment. Question is for how much longer. Whiting's had an issue and is in the pit lane. Dan Hall also going to head for the pits, yes.
Yeah, so Hall ran 10 laps at the start of the race. It's just run 11, and now we'll need to run 17 to go. So I can see a few of these drivers staying out. Another 2 or 3 laps, that'd sort of split their mid-stints equally. Dino, oh, he's done an unsafe pit entry or a speeding on pit lane. He was just heading for pit entry, and then the black flag pops up. Perhaps the Dino needs a Dino Speedo.
Yes, let's just quickly catch what's happening with Whiting as well. We'll check the Dean's pit entry here. So for Mr. Whiting, is he going to, unfortunately, it's slow.
Can't cross that. You can't cross that. And then what does Flavel do?
This one up. Is it the entry or is it being above the 60 km/h pit speed limit?
Looks like it's going to be the speed, doesn't it? 60 Ks and the limiter is not engaged. Hardly slowed it down to 60 in the first place.
Jamming the throttle on there, thinking or hoping the limiter would be active, and unfortunately this is not to be. And as a result, you get yourself a 1 minute pit stop.
What's that done for the heart rate, Dan?
Oh, funny you ask. The answer is apparently he's not too happy with things. As you can see here, lead lap cars coming past, and that's a lot of tyre smoke in T1. If we had a moment, these guys all feel like they've gotten a little bit closer again as well.
Might have dropped back. Ken Latter's just gone ahead of him at some point. But a lock up into T1 is no longer surprising at this point. We've seen plenty of them. Scott Mackay behind Stewie Hall. Uphill. Track rises super sharply right here. And then you need to stay right to make this flick back left. Track drops away on exit, so you've got to leave yourself a little bit of margin, a little bit of extra space. Track tightens here, so you've got to leave yourself a bit of margin and space. Makes that part of the track super challenging. Oh, got to leave yourself some margin for traction. It's going to put the pressure on, because here comes Ken Latter.
And I think he'll say no more for a free spot down into the roller coaster, thanks to the top speed and straight line advantage he'll get. Mackay's going to put up some resistance. Hold the apex there. And head on down to the last couple of corners past the old hog pen as was. As you said, but Latter just looks strong. There's Mackay maybe angling for a pit entry here. He will indeed.
A bunch of other drivers going for it. So Wayne Walker, who was running net third, also headed for pit lane. He's in his box right now with John Latham, Logan Barnett, Stewie Hall, Scott Mackay, and Luke Allman all join pit lane. This elevates Darren Lobb, who sits in one of the best strategy positions. So just a little bit closer behind Dean Logsdale. 23 seconds, the final stop for Walker. Remembering that his previous one was about 26. Means Lob's final stop might be about 20 seconds if he's been saving in that position. Oh, and now he's run wide and off into the grass. Not the first driver to have a lockup on the pit exit. Remember, Logan Barnett did that on his outlap.
It's so easy to be sucked in, it seems, tonight, into just overdriving the pit exit. Tyres slightly under their best. Introducing them to a bit of grass for good measure as a result. So this is a handful of seconds there covering the car, but got the Gary Buckland and Darren Goosey in front of him now. Buckland for position, Goosey unfortunately is not. As Jordan Ross will take to the lane for the second, and he will hope, I'm sure, is the final time in the season. Dean Logster will follow him in. Darren Lobb now will take the opportunity to go an extra lap at least. See if it's any more.
Yeah, Lobb goes further with Ross and Logsdale on the pit lane. A couple more takers. Just warming it up in time was Ken Latter and David Nash. They put a bit of smoke in the air with Troy Stonestreet and Stephen Kennedy following them in, but it's all kosher and above board after that one. Well, Latter's got the interesting pit stall where they normally the paddock access is. Jordan Ross is out of here. 25 seconds. Ahead of Wayne Walker with no troubles at all, but Christian Smart, the lap down, is right there, giving him pause for thought on his outlap.
Dean Logsdale here now is actually the first car behind Jewel, having definitely completed 2 stops within the critical window, I say. So anyone whose stop is before lap 17 is not really in it. So you can see 7th of Jeremy Knight, lap 8 for Stephen Varga, definitely short. This one going along, next to 12. Brad Doble short of maybe average there at 10 before you get back to Logsdale here, up 24 so he's working out very nicely indeed.
And a rough guess says that Wayne Walker will have lost about 9 seconds running wide at turn 1 on his outlap. So he should have been ahead of Logsdale, but he's not. Logsdale's come out ahead of him. Darren Lobb could have both of these guys beat. He's staying out yet further, not pitting this lap. So this is your race leader for the moment, who owes us about a 25-second stop and is 41 seconds clear of Jordan Ross. So I think the pit lane transit time will be about 50 seconds for Lobb. Expecting he'll be behind Jordan Ross, but it could be relatively close. Depending on what kind of pace Lobb can put down now in the clean air. I'd be giving it everything with a light fuel load, and those tyres aren't going to go too much longer.
And the other big thing is any extra laps he can do now, just improve his advantage when he gets the fresh tyres on. Now, obviously, he'll lose a little bit in this initial exchange of old versus new tyres, but overcuts, just seems so much more favourable. Just the only question is some of the limits on overtaking at this place that potentially a turn off? Well, for Darren Lobb, the answer is no. He's going to at least do +2 on his competitors that he's racing tonight. Just wait to see if it might be +3, David.
Yeah, so this is coming towards the end of 15 laps on this stint with 12 to go, 13 to go. And Darren Lobb's coming in. Oh, no. Tell me he hasn't.
I'm watching.
I think he's okay. I think Darren Lobb has avoided an unsafe pit entry by millimetres right there. So he's coming in to make his final stop. I was worried for him. it's so harsh. You can't believe how harsh it is. We've seen a couple of other examples get pinged, and Darren Lobb just gets away with it.
Further on track, John Latham getting past Gary Buckland there for 7th place, although, no, pardon me, John is done with his stops for tonight at this stage. Gary Buckland owing us a pit stop before he can be done with his 2 compulsories. Indeed, Jordan Ross done, but how's that there for getting a nice short stop in for Darren Lobb?
Yeah, it's a quick one. He's come out not too far behind Jordan Ross. Comfortably ahead of Dean Logsdale and Wayne Walker, who were his rivals for that 2nd place that he just sat behind in the middle stint and knew it was going to come back his way, and it sure did. So Darren Lobb goes up into 2nd. We did have a bit of a championship battle brewing between Lobb and Latter, didn't we? And Lobb looked set to outscore Ken Latter by about 8 positions on track at the moment. It was 10 points advantage of Ken, I thought. Ooh, live standings. Lobb's doing it. There you go. So Ken Latter's going to look for a couple more positions if he can get him. He's just behind David Nash and Chris Burridge. Just behind Christopher Burridge, they're 8th, 9th, 10th. So there's spots for the taking for Ken Latter right now. But he's going to need to grab a couple more because he needs 9 more points.
Well, he's in position to get some of them. He'll get, at this part of the field, 2 points for every place forward. So there's 4 points in sight here. We have David Nash and Christopher Burridge, who are all done with stops. So he's going to pass him here on track. And that'll get him up to around 14, a neat 1400. And then you've got to find another 3 spots to jump ahead of Darren Lobb's current total. So we'd have to then find 5 seconds to Dan Hall, another 6.5 to Logan Barnett. Sorry, no, pardon me, they're tied together at 8/10. Then after that, another 6.5 up to John Latham and Wayne Walker. So yeah, Ken Latter needs a top 5 to be able to keep 2nd place in the standings.
And Ken Latter's on the Zoom, but Darren Lobb will have been scored as leading some laps as far as the little bonus points stack up. So there's a look at those live standings. Latter, super late look down the inside of turn 1, trying to catch Nash by surprise. Don't think he will, not quite close enough.
Yeah, so all the bonuses. Things like laps led, most laps led, and the fastest lap for the driver who's in the top 10.
Scott Mackay's around behind.
Oh dear, indeed.
Tough spot too. That you haven't bogged it, have you, mate? He's had to go in the reverse. You cannot park there, and Scott Mackay is not finding any grip in the grass, and also not finding any gaps in the traffic until now. Big loss for Mackay.
23rd place. That is brutal, to put it mildly. Going out at you, David, for 12th place as they head on the Madison Avenue.
Yeah, Ken Latter ends up going to the right, and Stone Street goes to the right. Luke Allman sniffs one way, then the other. Haven't seen many successful moves from drivers going left on the way into the roller coaster. I won't ask you what wheelbase Allman's got. I think you can tell.
That's a challenge now, David. But I will accept that was probably the correct suggestion to make in the first place.
Sim Racing's Rain Bolt alongside me right now. As Luke Allman keeps the pressure on in the final stint, the final laps of this season for RaceKraft V8 Veterans. This is split 1 of 4. V8 Vets has grown to 4 splits and will remain as such, and basically effectively capacity into the next season as well. Strength to strength for the V8 Vets. A little bit of strength to Luke Allman's arms, whatever race wheelbase he's rocking. Not making as much progress as he might like. Is Darren Lobb saving ridiculous fuel? Lost about 3 seconds last lap. Here we are on board. Not really.
Doesn't appear to have had an issue, a very apparent issue. Let's quickly bring up this before the lap goes away. Oh, yeah, there you go. I think he might have had a bit of an excursion of his own into the grass in T1. Ah, no, there is something here. I think we've found ourselves a moment at turn 1 for Darren Lobb, but let me confirm with a replay.
Certainly a chunk of time lost for Darren Lobb here into turn 1, mostly by himself. Wasn't too far behind race leader Jordan Ross, and Magic Smoke, car not slowing, not turning. Grass, crazy slippery out there as well. Christian Smart was very generous to him.
Continues on, but yes, now a little out of position. Place on back. Half a second between Chris Burridge and David Nash. 1 second back to Ken Latta. Has his momentum perhaps just stalled a fraction here for Ken? This is a momentary pause in the continued charge.
I think he's found that David Nash actually has about the same pace as him. So as Ken Latta's moved up through the field, so too has David Nash. So Nash and Latta both catching Burridge at about the same rate, means Latta, by net effect, not catching David Nash as much as he could. Grumley with a slowdown penalty. The driver in 29th has cut something somewhere.
Ideal, because the two cars behind him, half full position, gets cleared into the top of the S's. The GWM boys still running together, still unfortunately wide down here, 30th and 31st, by way of the race staying green since the stop. We'll see, check in with them later, because there's movement here a little further up the order. 15th place. Wayne Sanderson gets through, and Stephen Kennedy also would like to perform a disappearing magic trick on us. Battle for 8th has compressed as well. Now half a second each between the three cars here in this part of the queue, the train per se. So it's fanned out. Burridge still holding strong as we are approaching now. Race leader Jordan Ross has just started about 32, so will be 7 to go at the line for these gentlemen.
Burridge just tickles the grass a little bit. Nash is probably a car length or so too far back. But I wouldn't tell him that. Him and Ken Latta both dive it in very deep. Got to be still wary of getting a bit of lock up. Tyre locking in a braking zone like that. This is a group of drivers that actually ran pretty deep into making their second stop. Dan Hall stopped 10 laps ago up the road, but Nash and Latta stopped 7 laps ago. Darren Lobb in second place stopped 5 laps ago. 5 laps probably gets a bit towards the end of the super grippy new tyre phase, when they are still cool, haven't been completely heat saturated. Little wobble, little wide, pressure remains on Burridge.
Well, if anything, this is the most pressure we've seen in this battle since we looked into it. Greg Sharp's had a moment. We'll check in with that in a bit, but a good run off Oak Tree once again for Burridge, and the margin is now about a car length and a half back to David Nash, so he can't get there unless there's something Herculean coming under brakes. He'll certainly close up the distance to almost the whole of the rear bumper, but run of the roller coaster will also make sure that it stays status quo for now. But laps are running short, and these two behind, I'm sure, itching for a way past. If I can get a couple of good runs through Hog Pen like that, maybe they'll have a chance to.
Six laps to go. Oh, a lock up for Latta. Nearly runs into the back of David Nash.
Oh, all right then. He's certainly not afraid to try as Ken Latta, but that's not going to work on that occasion. And is it me, or is the camera slipped for Ken slightly? If we just bring it up here on the screen, I feel that we're now seeing more curtain than chair. And that's changed since the start of things.
Yeah, it's moved across, but he's still got the jacket on. Is he going to have a go at Nash? He's going to have a go at Nash on the way into Oak Tree. Up the inside of David Nash, Ken Latta says, "Thanks, mate." Not going to give either of them a great drive off this corner. Chris Burridge pulls away in 8th. Ken Latta gets one more spot. Another look at the live points. The gap closes enough, but I think you're correct that Lobb needs to maybe drop back from second place, and Ken Latta needs to find his way into the top 5. Doesn't look like it's happening, with everyone having made their 2 compulsory pit stops. Now racing at relatively equal speed towards the end. He might be catching Christopher Burridge, but he's not catching Dan Hall in 7th. He's sure as hell not catching Logan Barnett in 6th, who just laid down. He's the fastest car on track at the moment. No, he's not. He's just a tiny bit slower than Wayne Walker, who's closing in on 3rd here behind Logsdale.
Ooh, how about that there? Lap 31 comparison. But then again, 32 and 33 also paint a pretty dire picture for Dean.
Walker could certainly be ruining the mistake that he had on his outlap after the last pit stop, because he's had so much speed since then. He ought to have had Dean Logsdale and maybe even Darren Lobb covered off on the strategy. Instead, he's given himself quite a fair bit of work here. but time enough to get back on the podium for sure.
Race leader starts lap 35. 4 more tours of Virginia International Raceway are left in this one here, and to the outside. Walker looks, but Logsdale gets it pulled up and protects the inside.
Stephen Grumley's had more dramas. He's calling on race control based on some contact that he had in the first sector.
And we're losing Chris Miller apparently as well from the server. Oh yes, unfortunately it's not looking too healthy.
I think he's moments away from being gone. Going to elevate a couple of drivers a position. Here's a look at Greg Sharp.
Unfortunately, he's going to join the turn 1 group, and then just a moment ago, off screen, Jeff Thomas having a look. Oh, we need to go back and look on board with Thomas there, I think. Once in the left rear corner, and then looks like a second time dead on in the rear. Unfortunately for Stephen Grumley, that is car in the grass.
I might be crazy, but I thought Grumley's brake lights were on very deep into the corner there.
I think he might have been right.
Again, we've seen the precedent is even if they're checking up for something, you can't just hit someone in the rear and have them off. It's Buckland and Cairns.
Well, definitely angling to look a little more racy there into the roller coaster. But in the last couple of laps, he's caught Gary and then kind of not found a way through. So he's lost the head of steam at lap 32 and suggested he had. So stretch he'll come. Let's have a look at this lap. It's over the
What
airways.
if Wayne Walker? Oh, here we go. Damien Cairns is looking down the inside of one. Seems to make that work. I was wondering if Wayne Walker was getting up enough of a head of speed to move to third. There's a couple of other battles. So this, Christopher Burridge versus Ken Latta. This, Brad Doble versus Stephen Banks. Jamie McKnight and Justin McLean. Sanderson and Kennedy. And here's Christopher Burridge trying to keep Ken Latta behind.
David Nash is still there, present too. Closest one up towards the front is still, of course, Dean Logsdale fending off Wayne Walker. He only has to do it for 2 more laps here tonight to secure the 3rd place finish. But he's going to have to put every foot right in what will be, I believe, if I remember saying correctly, Dean Logsdale's final time out for Team AJR, having going to be switching teams.
Barnett losing time. Logan Barnett losing a lot of time in 7th. Dan Hall's gone ahead of him. And Barnett still seems to be dropping. Lost 4 seconds last lap. Losing more time this lap. Okay, that's a tiny bit of grass. Into the hog pen we go. Tiny bit wide, tiny bit slide. Very much slide. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I think he's got some damage.
And that's not the only...
He's still losing time. He's losing about a second every sector. Dropping 3 seconds a lap with what might be steering damage. Straight line, it looks like he's still going to get up to about 280.
Mystery there, perhaps, for another time.
Jordan Ross starts the final lap of the race and the final lap of the season for RaceKraft V8 Vets. He is the championship leader. He is the race leader, and he's 1 lap away from the crown of RaceKraft V8 Vets. Who'll join him on the podium? Who'll join him second and third in the championship? Darren Lobb runs second at the moment. Dean Logsdale and Wayne Walker battling it out. Ken Latta looking for as many spots as he can possibly get on the final lap to try to hold off Darren Lobb for second, and Latta's off the road at the turn 1 hairpin. Sorry, Ken.
Well,
who's headed for third in the championship?
Had a good go at it. He'll have to settle there for 10th on the road tonight. But as we look around here at some of the battles in the back half of the field, you've got a 3-way fight for 23rd place still going on. Stephen Banks has got Brad Doble and Greg Sharp right behind him, and they've got the full lap left to go in this one here tonight. But he's a man we've had times where we've almost lost him on the screen, David. I think it's probably appropriate now as he brings it through the roller coaster to highlight Jordan Ross here as he brings it to the very last couple of corners of the circuit at Virginia International Raceway. It's been a near perfect championship season. 8 wins with this one here tonight out of 10 possible, and he'll go back to back in split one of the RaceKraft V8 veterans. Jordan Ross, your final race winner of season 23 and your season champion for number 23 here of the Vets as well.
Unstoppable Jordan Ross, and crossing the line in second place, Darren Lobb takes second in the championship. Dean Logsdale and Wayne Walker crossing the line pretty damn close. I think they were side by side. I'm not sure there'll be many other side-by-sides coming to the line, but Logsdale just held off Walker to be on the podium. Here's Stewie Hall with Troy Stone Street just behind. Ken Latta's recovered to 10th, losing out 1 spot to David Nash on that final lap.
Couple of close margins here towards the finish. Wayne Sanderson ends up just behind. Yeah, and then coming up here in a second, we've got Stephen Varga, Justin McLean. Varga will hold off. That was a couple of tenths of a second. And then further on down the order, we're waiting now for Brad Doble and Greg Sharp, 3 tenths apart as we speak. And they're coming onto the start-finish stretch now. Damien Kanzan and Gary Buckland as well. And our very last battle, it seems, on the circuit here in our last battle of the season 2. I'll leave it to you here, David, as Travis Hunt looking to hang on ahead of Dean Flavell.
Well, Shaver Shop versus the Dyno, and Travis Hunt has a bobble heading into the hog pen. The Dyno, both of these guys actually picking up drive-through penalties at points. Flavel for his speed on pit lane. Oh, he's trying to overtake off track. They're going to stage a photo finish. That Travis Hunt's just going to win. The Dyno doing 110.
There you go, 56 thousandths of a second. And with that, there's the field almost across the line. Oh, Stephen Grumley, unfortunately, in a coast at home mode. But he's your last driver on the lead lap, and your last classified driver as a result. And with that one there, David, the results should now be a wrap.
A wrap on the race, a wrap on the season. Jordan Ross has it in the end coasting it to 2.5 seconds ahead of Darren Lobb. Fastest lap of the race, though, still going the way of Jordan Ross with the 1:47.9. Dean Logsdale completing that podium just ahead of Wayne Walker, as we saw John Latham, Daniel Hall, Logan Barnett, Christopher Burridge, David Nash and Ken Latter inside the top 10. Over in 11th was Stewie Hall, Troy Stonestreet, Luke Allman, Bruce Tannock, Wayne Sanderson, Stephen Kennedy, Stacey Boyd, Stephen Varga, Justin McLean and Jamie McKnight. A couple of drivers 3 times through the lane. So Mark Poynton with the drive through, Stephen Banks, Stacey Boyd with the engine, I reckon. No, just the 2 times through. Blew the engine and then made that his final stop. All right. Scott Mackay, 21st. Mark Poynton, 22nd. Stephen Banks, Brad Doble, Greg Sharp, Damien Cairns, Gary Buckland, Robert Crisdale, Jeff Thomas and Travis Hunt. Mary Kate and Ashley finishing 29th and 30th. And then the last cars on the lead lap. Dean Flavel and Stephen Grumley. Goosey 1 lap down. Christian Smart with connection dramas early on in the race, 2 laps down. Chris Miller also connection dropping out 5 laps back. Michael Whiting and Scott McCune out of this one will not be scored finishers, having not completed 75% of the race.
Well, with that, it's time for some post-race penalties. And David, we've got 2 of the 3 from the podium tonight here with us on this one. And so with that, maybe your last bit for this evening, I'll leave you to quickly speak with Jordan Ross, perhaps, to our race winner and champion-elect here for our first interview of the night.
Champion Jordan Ross, congratulations. Great way to finish it.
Hey, David. Yeah, it was. It probably looked easier than what it was. Darren worked hard to get the tyre advantage over me, and unfortunately, he must have done a mistake or something after the final pit stop. But yeah, he probably would have come at me pretty hard, and we would have had a really good race till the end. But wasn't to be. Maybe next season.
Had 1 or 2 laps of your own that didn't go completely to plan. A lot of people struggling with the turn 1 braking zone.
Yeah, I think I wobbled off at maybe turn 4 or 5 or something on one of the laps, and was lucky to get back on the track. I sort of just understeered off, and I didn't go off at 1, which I was pretty surprised about, and it was a bit dodgy at the end of the back straight on the top of the hill there. Getting it turned back, it was pretty dodgy, but I had a fun race with Darren right at the start of the race for the first 8 laps or something, but yeah, from there it was just a matter of trying to get out in front and just try and make a gap, which I sort of didn't really, because Darren had really good pace, but anyway, got away with it.
Yeah, sure did. As you reflect on 8 wins in the season, which was the sweetest?
And I think I really enjoyed the car and the setup at Sebring. I thought the setup was really good that week. So I really probably enjoyed that race out of all of them the most. But mate, last week in the wet was probably... That was awesome. I want to do more of that. Had a bad result, but it was so much fun, and it really shook the field up, and you never knew what was going to happen lap to lap. So bring on more rain, I reckon.
We'll see what next season brings. I think they're almost everyone locked in for the 4 splits of next season. You'll need a slick little invite if you're not one of the returning drivers. So are you going to be one of them?
Yeah, mate, I'll be back. But I think this coming up season is coincides with a lot of stuff happening at the back end of the year, I think, with Scops and with Pro Series and stuff like that. So it might be a bit hard to fit it all in, but we'll do our best.
your cup runneth over. Congratulations once again.
Thanks, guys, and thanks to the series, all the guys behind the scenes at V8 Vets that put it on, and the broadcast team at SimSpeed. Dan and you, David, here every week doing this. So thanks, and see you next time.
Fantastic. Congratulations once again, V8 Vets Season 23 Split 1 champion Jordan Ross. We'll continue our way through the podium, Dan, because next was Darren Lobb.
He sure was indeed, and coming home second in more ways than one. Darren, welcome here to the comms box, and second on the road and second in the championship with that result tonight. Congratulations on both fronts.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I'm not feeling too sharp after that. I keep getting schooled by Jordan on strat and all sorts of things, and I'm getting tired of second place now.
Well, funny you say that. He reckons you might have had something for him, but unfortunately we also caught at the moment down at turn 1. You weren't the only one, but it was a place that liked to suck drivers in and unfortunately make the grass on the outside a little more welcoming than you'd like.
Yeah, that was just an ego-driven mistake. I thought Jordan had put me to fastest lap, and I knew I had a tyre advantage on him, and I was only 2 seconds back. So I thought, fuck it. Instead of kind of just easing the tyres into it, I'm going to try go for the fastest lap, and inevitably I moved the brake bias forward instead of moving it backwards and locked the front into turn 1, and kind of that was all she wrote. And then unfortunately that just blew the gap out and I couldn't get back to him. So it was just really stupid brain dead stuff that you do at midnight, I suppose, when you're racing. That I should have just sat there 2 seconds, let the draft suck me in, and made a good race out of it. Anyway, too many mistakes. What can you do?
Unfortunately, it was one that may have put pay to that challenge, but overall for the season, looking back at it real quick, unfortunately no wins this time, but you're very close to the podium, if not on the podium, most rounds here tonight, and picking up a fastest lap here and there along the way as well. By the sounds of it, you sound pretty keen to hopefully get back to it again in due course. Will that mean we can expect you for season 24 and having another crack to see if we can topple Jordan?
Yeah, I actually signed up this evening just before the race for next season. I'm just, home life is getting hell of a busy now with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home. So it's just getting harder and harder to put time in. I think I managed to get into the server about half an hour before qualifying tonight, managed about 2 laps, and kind of that was it. And I'm managing enough laps at the track, just not enough laps on Jamie's setups, which are inevitably pretty different to mine. So I just struggle a little bit with driving them through the course of a race. But hopefully towards the end of the year, I don't know, maybe the little guys start looking after each other a little bit more, and I get time to be a kid myself and spend more time on the sim. So I'll be back. Hopefully some good racing with Jordan. It'll be interesting to see who else is back next season. Yeah,
well, we'll have to wait and see, because we're in the blind on that, probably just as much as you are in this case. But floors are yours, Darren. Who do you want to thank for, anyone you want to shout out for helping you along the way to second place here tonight?
Just big thanks to the DPR guys, Barry Manon from MRP, and you guys as always for putting on a fantastic broadcast, and thanks to everyone behind the scenes. I'm looking hell of a forward to the break. A couple early Thursdays ahead of me before the next season kicks off. We'll see you guys all then.
Well, thank you very much. Darren Lobb here joining us second tonight, second in the championship as well for the DPR 099 Mustang. And looking to the green room, got ourselves the man who came home in third place. Grab Dean Logsdale real quickly first. David, would you prefer to leave it with me, or would you like to pipe into with Dean here?
Yeah, well, Dean Logsdale joins us. Congratulations on third. Bit of pressure from Wayne Walker behind you in that final stint.
Yeah, I did it to myself. I come out the pits. I was quite surprised, actually. Second stop, I had a 6-second gap on him. I don't know if he made a mistake or what, but then I see lob go off on the first corner, and yeah, I went off myself in turn 3. Done lucky to actually not spin it, so I lost 4 seconds there, and then yeah, he got a toe off one of the lappers, and that was it. He was on me, and I just had to try and keep it clean.
What wheelbase have you got?
I've got a Simagic, the Alpha Mini.
Points go to Daniel Yeaman, who correctly identified it from the Zoom feed. He's a nerd for that kind of stuff, and
Yeah,
treated you well. Walker might have had you on that strategy, but he did lock up coming out of the pit lane. And then, did you feel that as great as this track is, and I'm a big fan, that there weren't particularly many overtaking opportunities for these cars?
No, you really had to rely on a mistake, and that's why I thought, if I keep it clean, get a good run out of the corners going onto the long straights, and yeah, it'll be difficult. I was actually quicker than him in the first couple of sectors, and he was a lot quicker than me in the last couple of sectors, so I knew that I just had to have that enough of a gap so he couldn't sort of dive up the inside going into turn 1. And yeah, apart from once, I did wonder a bit. He was right on me coming over the finish line, and yeah, I managed to hold on. It's good.
Always good to have some teammates in the field. What do you gather from that? How does it help you?
Yeah, well, because I've only got Luke in there at the moment, and yeah, we don't talk unless we're under a safety car or there's something happens. We don't talk too much during the race, but I think we said a few words, but there was no tactics. We were both concentrating, trying to keep it on the road, being a non-drop round.
Well, congratulations to you once again on the podium for the final round of the season, and best of luck if we see you on the grid season 24.
Yeah, thank you. Before I go, I just want to, it's my last race for Team AJR, and yeah, I felt a bit of pressure today. I was trying not to think about it because I wanted to have a good race and a good send-off, and they're a great bunch of boys. AJ and Zippy run the team, and yeah, going to be sad to go, but time for something new, and yeah, just want to thank them, and also you guys for putting on such a great show, and obviously all the organisers of the vets. Yeah, it's been a great season for me, first season in Split 1, and yeah, really pleased.
Fantastic, all the best.
Thank you.
And that will bring to a close this season of RaceKraft V8 Vets. Jordan Ross, dominant, but a few wildcard races thrown in there. Ken Latta picking up a win, and last time out at Interlagos, absolute insanity. But Jordan Ross rises through all of it to be the champion, that top 3 in the points, completed by Darren Lobb and Ken Latta, Wayne Walker ending up in 4th. And we just spoke to Dean Logsdale in 5th, with Latham, Mackay, Poynton, Troy Stonestreet, and David Nash completing that top 10. Daniel Yeaman, thank you for joining me, and it won't be too long until we're back on for the next season of the RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship, Season 24. 4 splits, so many people involved, so much happening, so much work by the admins, great work by all of the supporters and sponsors that keep this great thing going.
Yeah, very much so indeed, David. And so just, yeah, whilst not lost any penalty points from tonight, and the Zoom bonus, as well as the 0x bonus, can't be accounted for on these results here. A bit of a rough idea of where your drivers of this top split finish up for the season real quick. But on the note of next season, unfortunately, what I have to say is that we can't confirm that we'll be back, or that I won't be back for the next season. Because things moving in my life, and so it's all a bit up in the air. And because of other broadcasts here at SimSpeed TV, we wouldn't be able to guarantee every week's coverage of V8 Vets if things change in my life. So SimSpeed returning for our 11th straight season of V8 Vets is unfortunately still a TBC as of tonight. Hopefully we'll have an answer for you all, myself included, very shortly, so we can make plans ourselves, as well as, of course, to allow the team that make this series possible to sort of get a read on what they'll need to do in preparation for the next season, which is just 3 weeks away on Thursday, 26th of June. And at this stage, while the calendar is still in draft, David, is set to kick off at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps.
Daniel Yeaman, stop touching grass and sign up for the grind. RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship Season 24 is not too far away. Thank you again to all of the V8 Vets supporters, and thank you for joining us on this journey, and big congratulations go to the champion of Split 1, Jordan Ross.
Well, there's one last thing, Dave, before we sign off. We've got to give our final Chubby Ones Burgers driver of the day for the season. Now, in saying that, who do we want to give it to? Because we have a couple of...
Can we just give it to Jordan Ross for the championship? I feel like we've avoided giving it to him at almost every point because he's been dominant.
That's a fair point. I feel like we maybe gave it to him round 1 of season 22 when he came in. I think actually it's actually a very fair point that tonight Jordan could have cruised home or done a pretty simple run of it here tonight, but no, he didn't quite qualify it on pole, but made sure to put it where it mattered in the race. And I think that's a fair point. Certainly, as Brendan O'Brien has pointed out, honourable mention of Dan Hall up from 12th to 6th place. David Nash up 7 spots to 9th. As I said, Ken Latta up from the back of the field to 10th. And similar drivers like that, Troy Stonestreet up 6, Bruce Tannick up 8, they were 12th and 14th, so on and so forth. Apologies, obviously, if you're trying to really wrap this one up quickly here tonight, folks, but yeah, it's been a pleasure to be with you here. Hopefully it's not the last time we're here, and I'm here for V8 Vets, but we'll have to keep you all informed in due course. But indeed, on behalf of RaceKraft Simulations, the title sponsor of the V8 Vets for Season 23, along with G, Nova Sim Sports, Parramatta, Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, Chubby Buns Burgers, and SimSpeed. Thank you all very much for being part of our coverage here this season. And my final congratulations to Jordan Ross, your back-to-back Split 1 champion of the RaceKraft Simulations V8 Vets.